Hello and welcome to Tech Circle. You're listening to Tech This Week, where we bring you up to speed with the most important weekly developments in the enterprise and emerging technology space in India. In today's episode, we discuss HCL's 700 crore rupees special bonus for its employees, MasterCard's push for cryptocurrencies, year-on-year analysis of India's OTT video consumption, government's order to Twitter to ban over 1,000 accounts, and the notable deals of the week. I'm Shweta Sharma, and joining me from the Tech Circle newsroom are my colleagues Payal Ganguly, Debangna Ghosh, and Supriya Roy. So what has the week been for news, guys?
Well, Shweta, earlier this week, HCL Technologies said it will offer a special bonus for its employees this month itself in recognition of a recently crossed milestone at the company. In the calendar year ended December of 2020, that's about 20 years since its IPO, HCL hit $10 billion in revenue terms for the first time. So anyway, the bonus is worth 700 crore rupees, which is inclusive of payroll taxes across countries. And that equates to well over $96 million for over 1,59,000 employees across 50 countries.
The company also recently announced a plan to hire 1,000 freshers and experienced professionals for its 2-year-old campus in Nagpur.
Yeah, it's as good of a time it can be to be an IT employee or a potential employee in the sector. As 2 days ago, in fact, TCS said it will recruit 1,500 tech employees across Britain over the next year. And this was right after the CEO, Rajesh Gopinathan, met with the country's Secretary of State for International Trade in Mumbai.
Moving on, MasterCards on Wednesday announced that it will be supporting selected cryptocurrencies on its network. And it's quite a big news after PayPal. Debangna, would you like to brief us more on that?
You're right, Shweta. The move comes after the company noticed customers using cards to buy cryptocurrencies, especially after Bitcoin's valuation skyrocketed. MasterCard confirmed the development over a blog post.
Yeah, it didn't quite specify the select cryptocurrencies as of yet, but last year I remember the MasterCard had launched this crypto card. It had teamed up with WireX and BitPay to allow customers to transact using cryptocurrencies.
And this time too, MasterCard has been equally cautious about the move, and I quote from the blog. In all of these cases, cryptocurrencies still don't move through our network. Our crypto partners convert the digital assets on their end to traditional currencies, then transmit them to the MasterCard network, the company said.
Well, this week feels like the week for cryptocurrencies. Tesla has invested nearly $1.5 billion in buying bitcoins and plans to allow cryptocurrencies for payments.
Surely a far cry from the scene in India here. Given how earlier this week, a bunch of cryptocurrencies in the country, including WazirX, CoinDCX, Unocoin, Zebpay, to name a few, had signed up for an online petition to educate and build awareness among policymakers and the public about cryptocurrencies.
Well, yeah, I mean, we really don't know where that stands as of now because the government is talking about banning them, right?
Yeah. Right.
All right, guys. So it's Friday. What plans for the weekend?
Thank God for Friday. I'm planning a weekend binge watch of shows.
Yeah, and these are the numbers they've been talking about in the OTT space, which seems to have grown by 13% from last January, which was 2020, to January 2021, according to a Redseer report.
Yeah, clearly they didn't count in on Debangna maybe watching reruns of Suryavansham. But yeah, the report says that the movie consumption increased on OTT by 20%, whereas the consumption of original shows by users grew by 50%. Now, obviously, during the lockdown months of April and May, the numbers saw a spike, but another considerable amount of increase was between September to November when they were live streaming a lot of sports and also the IPL season. So also Disney said that in its report today.
But isn't the government also close to finalizing the OTT regulation guidelines?
Well, that's true. And it's also nudged the industry body IMAI to hasten the adoption of a self-regulatory code. Now, IMAI this week issued a toolkit for implementation of the code by 17 signatories, which are different OTT platforms. And it said that, as part of the code, it says that it will direct complaints from the government and other parties to the internal committee of the OTT players. Also, the government has sought that all cases against different OTT platforms be moved to the Supreme Court. And it was heard earlier this week.
Speaking of regulation, wasn't Twitter also rubbing off Indian regulators the wrong way, or the government the wrong way? What's the latest happening on that end?
Lots of water under the bridge, Supriya, but the government did meet the representatives from Twitter, including their Vice President of Global Public Policy, Monique Meshe, and Deputy General Counsel, Jim Baker. So Twitter, in a blog post, said that it has blocked over 500 offensive posts and accounts, which the government had flagged. And the government had flagged around 1,300 such accounts and posts in two separate lists. One was issued on Jan 30th and the other was issued on February 4th. Twitter also said that it has not blocked the accounts of Indian journalists and social activists as well as politicians, protecting the freedom of speech. However, government made sure that it made its point clear to Twitter, saying that, as a business which is operating in India, they're required to respect Indian laws and democratic institutions.
Let's move on to the significant deals of this week. Earlier this week, CureFit acquired gym aggregator Fiternity, claiming the acquisition will give the company a collective user base of 3 million, targeting 5,000 gyms across 20 cities. Post the acquisition, Fiternity will continue to operate independently and the app will also remain active. To talk in detail about the deal, we have Neha Motwani, co-founder of Fiternity, joining us on the show.
Just wanted to understand, how did the conversation with CureFit start? Like, when did you meet them and think that there was an overlapping, idea which you could work on? And going ahead, how did the conversation close?
I mean, CureFit and Fiternity have been, sort of conversing, and the teams have been in touch, since the very start. We started Fiternity in 2014. CureFit was launched in 2016. I think since then, we've had a very sort of, positive relationship in terms of exchanging notes, seeing how the business has been. And the teams at both ends have been sort of tracking each other and talking, and also exchanging notes. I think last year when we were amidst the pandemic, COVID, and we were seeing businesses get impacted, right? For CureFit, of course, cult centers, were not, functioning due to COVID. And similar for us, our sort of partner network entirely shut down and halted operations, right? So that was a good time to sort of connect and see, okay, where will the next phase of growth come? And we started sort of talking to them, last year at around September on that. And then on those lines, we took the discussion ahead, and we really felt that, the two brands, Fiternity and CureFit coming together in the fitness industry would actually be, a great force and a formidable force, which will not just look at recovery, but it will also look at, scaling up the fitness penetration levels in the country.
Right. How, what would be your role in this, after the acquisition, both you and Jayam? And would there also be other roles in CureFit which you would be taking up?
Yeah. So I think, Jayam and I both joined CureFit, and we're very excited to sort of, join the team. The team at Fiternity is, of course, super thrilled as well. So I think at an overall level, we will pretty much operate the way we operated. Jayam and I will manage Fiternity and lead Fiternity operations, and we will work with the CureFit team closely in terms of building the industry together and managing expectations from our partners.
Thank you, Neha, for joining us. Also this week, Verse Innovation, the parent company of online news and content platform Daily Hunt and also short video app Josh, raised a sum of more than $100 million as part of its Series H round of funding. The round was led by Sovereign Wealth Fund, Qatar Investment Authority, and US-based alternative asset manager Glade Brook Capital Partners.
Yeah, the fresh infusion comes within 2 months of Versailles raising a similar amount in December, after which it made it to the Unicorn Club. Just like the last time, the capital will also be used to scale up Josh.
Adding to that, payments and financial services startup BharatPe raised a round of $108 million in Series D, which was led by existing investor Kotu Management. Of the total, $90 million was through a primary infusion, while the remaining $18 million was a secondary infusion, which will deliver exits for angel investors and some of the ESOP pool in BharatPe. So also this comes soon after BharatPe raised around like a collective of nearly $39 million from different venture debt firms, including Trifecta Capital, Altiria Capital, and Innoven Capital.
So what's the total amount that the company has raised till date, and what are its plans with so much money now?
That would be interesting to ask the founders, but BharatPe says it has raised a total of $268 million across equity and debt round. And now the valuation is 100 million shy of its unicorn status. So the company's co-founder Ashneet Grover said that the company will, deliver around $30 billion in total payment volume and start building a loan book, which would reach $700 million by March 2023. He also said that they're trying to become India's largest business-to-business financial services company so that they can serve as a one-stop destination for small merchants.
Also, IPO-bound gaming and sports platform Nazara Technologies raised $13.7 million in an equity round from Instant Growth Limited. The capital will be utilized for operations, business development, and investment towards business of the company and its subsidiaries.
Lastly, TechCircle reported exclusively about healthcare services company MedPlus raising 100 crore rupees, that's about $13.7 million from Warburg Pincus and Premji Invest. And the deal values MedPlus at a little over 300 crore rupees post money, according to TechCircle's estimates.
Well, that's all in today's episode of Tech This Week. Stay tuned and logged on to techcircle.in for more interesting news and updates. Thank you very much for listening.